YouTube, welcome back to another video. And today, man, oh man, today I want to talk about the hate. The hate that Samsung has been receiving as of late, especially with the Z Fold 6. I just can't believe my ears, my eyes. Some of these videos I've seen put out by a lot of my colleagues, I guess. I don't know. They're not really colleagues. I don't even get paid to do these videos yet, guys. So I do this because I love the technology. But the the hate is so real for Samsung. Let's just kind of go through a list of things. And I want to be fair. I always try to be fair. No phone is perfect. And even myself, I have criticized the phone and I call out the shortcomings. So let's just run through the cons right now of the Z Fold 6 and see if this is getting a fair shake in the industry. Um, the narrow display, I get it. A lot of people just don't want this narrow display, right? They don't like the one-handed ability. They want something that's more of a traditional candy bar style phone. And I mean, if that's you, then why even go after a foldable? So I hear a lot of comments, yeah, I barely even have to open the phone up because the outer screen is so great. Well, then what's the point of having a foldable if you're never going to open it up? So that's the first thing. So let's just throw that to the wayside. It's a narrower display compared to a lot of other devices, but a lot of people do like this narrow display. And I have grown to appreciate this one-handed use of the narrow outer display. Now, they didn't change the battery capacity. Okay, I'm one of the first people to say I wish they would have put a 5,000 milliamp hour battery in it or greater. Um, but they didn't, all right? They didn't do it. However, the battery life on this phone is good. It's not the best in-class battery, right? But it does get me, and I can only speak to my experience, at least 6 hours of screen on time. And for me, that's good enough because this is my secondary device. Now, had it been my primary device, maybe I would have more of a complaint and say, hey, you know what? You got to increase that battery capacity. I need 7 to 8 hours screen on time. I don't even know what other device gets that other than like the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Probably the 16 Pro Max will get that now. But either way, I think 6 hours of screen on time with my usage has been really good. Slow charging. All right. Yeah, I agree. Slow charging, that's a legitimate gripe. It should be faster charging compared to the industry. However, there are still devices like the Pixels, the iPhones, they just don't charge very fast. Now, if Samsung can bring that under an hour to fully charge this device 0 to 100, then I think people will have to stop complaining about that. There's nowhere to put the S Pen. There's no little silo to put it. They've got different cases and whatnot that can hold it. I have been one of the people that complained about that. That's what I wanted to see in this device. It didn't give it to us, but at least it has the stylus support. You guys got to call that out, right? So this is one of the few devices, other than the Honor Magic V3, that has stylus support. So we have to, if we're going to bash them for not giving us a place to store this pen, then we got to bash the V3 for not having somewhere to store their pen as well. So, but they're both giving us that option, that input. And last but not least, one of the cons would be the price of the device. I complained about it. I still don't understand to this day why they put the price up another $100. And they didn't give us any more with the phone. They didn't give us a case or a charger or anything like that, but they increased the price of the device. I don't like that. But as we'll talk about later in the video, they kind of did something to make up for it a little bit. Now, the reason why I feel like this is still the best foldable that you can get currently, the best, I guess, bifold is the new term instead of trifold, because I'm doing a whole other video for that Mate XT. We definitely got to talk about that as being the first trifold. But as a bifold device, this to me is still the best that you can get. One of the reasons is customization. There is no other device that you can have two different screen layouts. You can just kind of do this to your heart's content. You can have different wallpapers on the front screen, different app layout. And then when you open it up, you can have a completely different setup. No other phone can do that right now. No other folding phone can do that. The addition of having two different app stores. You've got the Samsung App Store and you've got the Play Store. And within that, you can get GoodLock. And GoodLock unlocks another set of just ridiculous ways to customize this device to your notifications, to app resizing and different approaches, different themes. Anything you can think of, you can pretty much do with adding GoodLock. And I haven't seen that with any other folding device. They don't have anything comparable to GoodLock. Multitasking, you can have vertical, horizontal, floating windows, all of that on this device. Not every foldable gives you that option. The Honor Magic V3, I guess the multitasking is better now on that device. You know, so kudos to them. They, in my opinion, are probably the only one that's coming close to the different features like this Z Fold 6. So the build quality is excellent on this device. It's a little thicker than its competitors, but I like that because when you're holding it in different layouts here, it does give you a little something more to hold on to with your pinky or your thumb or whatever the case. The thinner devices, right? Some people want something like this, right? They want the phone to be paper thin. Oh, look how thin it is. That is their claim to fame. Oh, this device is so much thinner than the Z Fold 6. Look at this. This is incredible. You can, look at that. Like, come on, man. You know what else comes along with that? Issues where it's going to crack in the middle, where your battery, you know, overheats and all that nonsense. So I don't mind the additional girth of this device. So we can just cut that out. Now, the speakers on here are, in my opinion, class-leading speakers. So when you watch these other reviews, they talk about these other folding phones. When they get to the speakers, they always say Samsung has the better speakers, in which they do. Samsung definitely has the better sounding, fuller, louder speakers. So until these other foldables can step their speaker game up, Samsung is still on top. We already talked about the battery life a little bit, so I won't beat that horse, but I do get good battery life on here. So I get at least the 6 hours of screen on time when I need to really use this device all day, which is kind of rare because usually I'm working all day, so I don't get to play around with it as much. Performance. So the Snapdragon Gen 3 is higher clocked for this device, and if you are a super techie, geeky person and you do all the benchmarks and all of that, this device scores very well, right? It doesn't have all the thermal throttling for it being too thin like the other foldables. So you can tend to have longer gaming sessions. So if you're a gamer, this is probably the device you want to go with. S Pen support, we've already talked about that. There's only one other device I know of that is allowing S Pen support. Well, let me modify that. I know OnePlus has an unofficial pen that you can get to use on that device, but it's hard to get that. So to me, this is still the better option. The S Pen has the better suite of features, all the AI, all that good stuff now you can have on here. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold, I think, dropped the ball without having stylus support. So I do like the fact that it was a bigger device, but it still didn't take advantage of the bigger canvas. Not many more features were added to that device, as opposed to Samsung having, this is feature rich. DeX, so you get your desktop performance. You could plug this thing into a monitor, or you could do it via Bluetooth and kind of use this as your personal computer. So this is really an all-in-one solution. Not every other device has a desktop or DeX variant. I know the Honor V3 has it, but from my understanding is not as robust as DeX. You do get some sort of warranty that you can have on this device, where it's going to be easier to repair here in the US. So I have been importing Chinese phones for a couple of years. I've done videos on them. Now, I tend to sell them, and I haven't had them long enough to see what would happen if something went wrong with the device. I would probably be in panic mode because it probably wouldn't be covered, or I'd have to ship it off to China, see if it can get fixed, see how much they're going to charge me, and then have it shipped back, have to pay for that. Not a lot of people want to go through that headache. So when you get a device like this Samsung device, you know you're going to get some support here in the States. And then that kind of brings me to the last couple things. Software updates. Samsung promises these updates. Even if they don't roll out as fast as the Google updates, you're still going to get them. So you're still going to get, I want to say they called out at least 6 or 7 years of software updates for this device. I don't think those other foldables promise you those type of updates. And if they do, I mean, there's no telling when those will get it. If Samsung is already delayed with getting their updates, the other devices are definitely going to be delayed. Now, you could argue and say nobody's really going to keep their phone for 6 or 7 years. I know I won't. Maybe some people will, but at least you have that option. And the last thing really is the trade-in value. So while people are pushing you towards all these other devices, what happens in a year or two when you're like, all right, I want something new? What then happens to that current device? Well, I know what happens with Samsung devices because I just traded in my Z Fold 4 that I only spent like $300 on, and Samsung gave me $1,000 for that phone as a trade-in. So if they actually change the Z Fold 7 to be able to house the S Pen and then do some other enhancements that might entice me, maybe a bigger battery, faster charging, I'm sure when I get ready to trade this in next year, they will give me at least $1,200 for it. So there you have it. Great trade-in value. Unless you plan on keeping your other foldable phone for like 4 or 5 years, you're really not going to get your money's worth, because when they throw that $2,000 price tag on these devices, which I believe is overpriced, Samsung is really the only one trying to offset that with trade-ins, with really good trade-ins, right? So Samsung can make this next Z Fold 7, they can make it $2,500 and make people just go nuts over that price, right? But then they could give you a trade-in value. Say you got this device or the Z Fold 5, they could say, hey, guess what? We're going to give you $1,500 as a trade. So they're kind of offsetting that for you. So I'm going to try not to bash the retail pricing when it comes to Samsung, because they definitely go above and beyond and try to offset that with the trade-in. So I'll give them that. Hit me up in the comments. What do you guys think about this Z Fold 6 hate? Are you enjoying your device? Are you one of the people that hate this phone? Oh, it's too narrow, it's too thick, blah, blah, blah. I want to hear from you too. Until the next one, peace.